Hello, I'm Karen from Karen Davis Design. Today I'm going to do a tutorial which I've been meaning to do for quite some time now. It is refashioning usually a cord jacket with a very full layered skirt. I've used for this one, as you can see, it is a cord jacket and with a variety of different very floaty fabrics. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. As I said, this is how I do it. There are many ways that you could do this, and I'm sure you will find it helpful and that you will find your own way of doing this recycling. Okay, so I've gathered up my supplies and items that we're going to need for this tutorial. So I have my jacket. For ease of this tutorial, I've chosen this lovely little cropped jacket, brown corduroy. It has a little bit of detailing here, which I'm going to keep, and a little false pocket, which I'm going to keep. Also, I've gathered together some fabrics. Some of these are quite old. This is a piece of Spanish silk which my grandmother brought back from Spain back in the 1960s, 70s, something like that. I have some sari fabrics. This is a sari, it's part of a sari. This is something that I used. I made a corset back a few years ago. I have some new crushed velour, velvet, whatever you like to call it. Charity shop find, and from my stash. So I probably won't use all of these. It's going to be a bit overwhelming. Probably I'll pick out 4, which maybe 5, which will look good together with the jacket. I've now laid out my fabrics, and I think I'm quite happy with the way that these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of fabric blend together quite nicely. There's nothing there that kind of shouts out, no, I don't like you. So I'm going to stick with that for the moment. Now, as for quantities, I know there's about 1 metre of that one. This is the sari. There's a couple of meters of that. I know there's 2 meters of the velour. The sari, the Spanish silk, there's about 1.5 meters of that. And oh, that's an oddment. That's about 1 metre, I would say, maybe 1.5 meters. So that's the kind of quantities of fabric you're going to need to do this, if that's helpful. Now I am going to start cutting out my panels, but first I have to make a template. I have one which I'm going to show you. Here are the templates that I've made to use as a pattern for cutting out the skirt panels. As you can see, they are very handmade, but they do the trick. So the bottom is 9 inches across. I measure 9 inches across, then I find the centre, and then I make a line all the way up to the top. That is about 21 inches. I then make a mark at the top and I go 2 inches across the top. So that is going to be 1 inch and 1 inch. So you have a total of 2 inches across the top. And that's it. That's my basic template. I do have a couple of others that are different sizes. This one here, a smaller one, is for when I don't have such a large amount of fabric. It's just smaller. It's still 2 inches, just under 2 inches at the top. But it comes in handy if I only have a small amount of fabric. I hope that makes sense. I've taken a piece of the fabric that I'm going to use and I've laid out my pattern template, and I'm now going to mark around with chalk. This is obviously my cutting line. I do have this folded double, so that's going to be 2 pieces. I'm going to, actually, the way that this fabric goes, I can put that one there, so I'm not wasting very much fabric. And that's that one. And now this one should just fit perfectly. And if by magic, there we go. There. So there's going to be 2, 4, 6 of those in that fabric. And now I'm going to cut them out. So I've cut my 6 pieces out from that fabric, and I have this left over. This is going to be put to one side to be used for the frill that will be attached to the bottom later on. Now I'm going to go and take my other fabrics. These are the ones that I've chosen, and all of them I'm going to now cut to this size. I just wanted to point it out that if you have directional fabric, so like this one, the flowers all go upwards, you can only go like that. You cannot place and cut the other way, or else you'll have flowers upside down, which might ruin the look of your jacket. And there we have it. I've cut all my fabric out, all the panels for the skirt. I have 6, 6, 6 and 6, and because the velour was a wider fabric, I've managed to get 8. So in total, I think that comes to 32 panels altogether. I've put to one side all the pieces of fabric that are left over, because these will all be used for the frill around the bottom of the skirt when we come to do that a bit later on. Now I'm going to arrange these into some sort of design that's going to be quite eye-catching. I don't have any set ways of putting the pieces together, but I've kind of come up with an idea that I wanted the velour at the front, where the front closure is going to be. This is the centre back, so I've kind of fiddled around and I quite like the look of these. I'm going to just play around with putting the panels together. So I think this one, I quite like it to be quite symmetrical in the way it goes. So I shall get back in a minute and I'm going to just play around with the different fabrics and see what I come up with. I have all my cut out skirt panels all laid out in a design which I'm quite happy with now. It did take me a little while just to adjust it. Take your time with it, there's no rush. I have used all of them, all the panels. Possibly maybe a little bit long, but you can always adjust the waist at the top of these panels when we're attaching it to the jacket, so that's not a problem. It's far better to have too many pieces have it too long, you can always shorten it a little bit. There's no real scientific method to this. I just go with the flow, yeah, and that's it really. Okay, so I have all my skirt panels in a nice pile, and I am going to be sewing them together now to make a skirt. I do this right side to right side, and I'm going to be placing on top of each other, and I will be overlocking down there, and then I will turn it over, bring the next one over, and right side to right side, and down there, and so on and so forth until I get to the end of the skirt. I will take the camera to the overlock in a moment, and you can see exactly what I mean. I'm now going to overlock the first two pieces together, as I said, right side to right side. I have a medium to small stitch. On my machine it's 3 and 3, and off I go. There we are, that's the first two together, and now I shall open this one out. See a little bit better, and I will now put the next one on. And I'm going to now overlock down there, again right side to right side, and I'm going to continue this all the way through the pile of fabric. Someone did ask about pinning when I'm overlocking. I don't use pins because I would find it more of a hindrance than a help. I use my hands and feel and manipulate the fabric as I go, like so. So that's how I do my overlocking. Of course, if you haven't got an overlocker, or serger I believe it's called as well, you can use a zigzag stitch, which I've used, and it's very successful. Well, pleased to say I'm halfway and still going. It's taking a while. At last, I'm on the last couple of pieces now, and we're going well. And now for the final piece. And there we have it. That's all the pieces now sewn together. I'm now going to overlock all around the top of the skirt panels, just to neaten it all off and to hold it all steady in place. As you can see, I'm holding all these threads out the way so they're all cut off. And it leaves a lovely neat edge. And I'm going to do the same all along the bottom edge as well. I'm back at the table again now, and I've finished neatening up all the way around the top of the skirt piece. I have done down the side panels, which has neatened them all up. So I've overlocked down all them and along the bottom. The next piece now is to attach it to the jacket. So first of all, I found the center of my skirt piece, which I've marked there, and the centre of the jacket, which I've marked there with a pin. Now, as this jacket is already cropped, there's nothing I need to do to it. I can just go straight ahead and attach the skirt. If I was using a longer line jacket, then I'd have to crop it and neaten it up. I will show you how I do this in another add on to this to the end of this video. Okay, now this is what I do. I take the centre of the skirt piece and I match it to the centre of the jacket. Now I have the right side of the skirt to the wrong side of the jacket, and I pin it to the jacket. Now I find the end of the skirt and I pin it to the end of the jacket. Now I know that there's going to be a little bit extra, which is fine. So I find roughly the centre of that piece and pin it to the centre of the jacket. And the same again here. And here. So I'm leaving about a centimetre, I would say. Wrong tape measure. So from the bottom of the jacket, yeah, it's about a centimetre. So I continue doing this, so I'm finding kind of the centre, which is there, about a centimetre. There we go. There. So that's half of it done. Trying to keep it as even as possible as you go along. I'm just going to continue and do this side now. There we go. I've finished pinning the skirt to the jacket, and this is what it looks like from the right side. I just wanted to check that it was pretty much central, so I've taken my ruler, put it on the side seam there, side seam there, 54 centimeters, 27. So yes, it's pretty much in the center. So that's all good to go. And this is what it looks like on the inside, all pinned in, and there's a centimetre overlap, just in case you didn't get that before. So I'm now going to take it to the sewing machine, and on a straight stitch I'm going to attach it. So here I am attaching the skirt to the jacket. I have a medium stitch, which is a 3 on my machine. I am stitching so that it is about, I would say, 1/4 of a centimetre up from the edge of the jacket. I'm feeling along as I go along, so I can feel the bottom of the jacket there. I don't want it very high up because it will be very noticeable. So I'm just going to, and I'm not pulling the fabric in any way. I'm just adapting and adjusting as I go. take your time over this. Get it right the first time. And I will just continue doing this until I get to the other. There we are. I finished attaching the skirt piece to the jacket and it's all stitched on. That's the line of stitching there, all nice and neatly sewn on. And now I'm going to start making the ruffle for the bottom edge of the skirt. For the ruffle, we're going to need all those bits that we had left over for when we were cutting out the skirt panels, and I've got them here. And I've taken this one and I've made a template. Now I want my ruffle to be 6.5 inches deep. It'll be just over 6 inches deep. So I've made a template and I am going to draw on my fabric rows of 6 inches, 6.5 inches. Of course, I've got it folded double, folded in half, right side to right side on this one. And then I'm going to cut this out. So I have a strip now that is 6.5 inches deep and the width of the fabric long. Now I am going to continue with that because I have measured the bottom of my skirt on my coat and it came to just under 24 feet long. Now I want double that, so I am needing material, fabric, that is going to take me up to 48 feet long. So I am going to get cutting and I'll get back when I finish cutting my strips. I finished cutting all my strips of fabric now, and I've got them in piles here. What I'm going to do, because I don't really want at the bottom of my coat a great big long stretch of velour or a great big long stretch of any other fabric, so what I normally do, I cut them into random lengths so that when I come to put them together they're a little bit more evenly dispersed rather than great big long pieces of one fabric. So what I'm going to do is cut them into pieces and then put them into piles. I've cut them into various lengths, and now what I'm going to do with these strips, I'm going to place them in a random order in a pile. So I'm going to start with the velour, and then I think I'll have a silk and a lace, and I'll carry on like this. Putting them together in a random sort of way, and what I'll do, I'll keep on doing that and building up this pile, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to sew them all together. So with this one, I'm going to lay it down right side to right side, and I will overlock it here, and then I'll put another piece on like so, right side to right side, and I'll continue that until I've made a full length. I've now piled up my fabrics in a random order, and I'm now going to take them to the sewing machine, and as I said before, I will be taking the first one and then I will be putting them right side to right side, stitching down here with a overlocker stitch, and then putting the next one on. And I'm going to take you to the overlocker now and we can see how it goes. Here we are at the overlocker, and I have my stitch length is 3 and width is 3, and right sides together. And the next one, right sides together, making sure that that is the right way up. Don't want any upside down flowers. Woohoo! Last 2 pieces to go. Quite a little marathon sew here. And the last one to go on. Yay! Finished. So that's the end of that, sewing them all together. The next thing I'm going to do is go round all the edges, along the top, along the bottom, and down the 2 sides, and that's with an overlocker stitch again. I've finished overlocking all the raw edges, so I've done top, the side and the bottom of the ruffle edges, and now I'm going to attach this to the bottom of the skirt. I'm going to sew it in with a straight stitch, and I have about 50 feet of ruffle to go. I'm just going to check that the way that I've got it, that my flowers aren't upside down, which they are, so I have to go to the other end and turn it around. If I find it in here somewhere. Where are you, end? I've eventually found the correct end and I've got it the right way up. And what I'm going to do, I have the skirt of the jacket with the wrong side facing me. I'll put the right side of the ruffle, and I don't pin it. And when I take it to the machine, I will get it so that this part of the overlock stitch meets with the bottom of the other overlock stitch, and as I go I will be just pleating it as I go. So what I'll do, I'll go to the sewing machine and I will show you how I do it. I'm at the sewing machine now, and with a stitch length of 3, which is about a medium length, I've made a start on attaching the ruffle to the skirt. And as you can see, at random intervals I do a little pleat. This really sort of like gives fullness to the ruffle, and I match up the bottom of the ruffle stitch to the top of the skirt overlock stitch. So I hope you can see this okay. It's a little bit tricky because there's not a lot of room here, because the jacket is kind of getting quite bulky now. So I will attempt to show you. So I've got a little pleat, and again little pleat, matching it as I go. Some fabrics are easier to do than others. Doesn't have to be evenly spaced either, just random little centimetre-ish pleats. And I will continue on with that until I get to the end. I've now finished sewing on the ruffle, as you can see here. I've added a second one. I wanted a bit more length to the skirt, and it has added a bit more volume. To add the second one is exactly the same procedure as the first one. So now, apart from just making sure that any loose threads are sewn in, it's finished. And I will go and put it on the mannequin and show you some photographs very shortly. Before I go, I just thought I'd show you how I treat a jacket that's not been cropped already. You can decide a couple ways where you want to cut it. For this one, what I would do, as you can see, I have a chalk line here. That's where I would crop it, because I like to have this button here for fastening. However, you could go straight across. You could go straight across there, or straight across even higher up, just under that button if you wanted it really short under the bust. You can decide your own place really here. Now when I've cut it along here, I will take it to my overlocker and neaten it along there so that it doesn't fray, and then it helps to hold these seams together as well. And then I treat it in exactly the same way as I have the one that was already cropped. Add the skirt onto it, add the ruffles, and that's how I would do this one. I hope that helps if you have one of these kind of jackets. And as for the back, you can go straight across the back, or you can dip it, whichever way you like. And it always comes out, it always seems to come out just fine. Okay,